All right, hello everyone. Hello everyone. Once again, this is Bob Turner back for another episode of the Summit Podcast. I finally kind of grew a pair and started asking people that I'd get, man, I'd like to have that guy on my podcast. So Tom Reber, Ben Newman, Mike Claudio, and I came across this cat out in St. Louis, and he's into social media, he's into digital marketing, he's into all of that stuff that I kind of play around on the fringes of. I'm that guy, busting around inside, like, I don't know what I'm doing over here. I'm just posting stuff and having a blast. This guy's probably over there at his desk going, holy shit, what's Bob Turner doing? We got to get a hold of him. But anyway, this is Adam McChesney. He's with Builders of Authority. He's a founder. He's done other things. He's a serial entrepreneur, done a bunch of stuff. He's a speaker. He's been on the Forbes 5,000, is it? Inc. 5,000.
Inc. 5,000,
Inc. 5,000 a couple of times. I almost had it memorized. But anyway, Adam, thanks for joining us. I appreciate you being here. I'm excited to talk to you and fire a few questions at you.
Yeah, Bob, thanks for having me. I'm super excited for this and looking forward to our conversation.
Cool. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself. I did see that you're either turning 33 or recently turned 33. So that puts us 20 years apart, dude. I'm like the old fart here, asking the kid, what's up?
Yeah, so as we're recording this, I'll turn 33 on Friday of this week. So I'm married to my wife, Delaney, here in St. Louis. We'll be celebrating our 5th year of wedding anniversary coming up in October here in a couple of weeks. We have about to be a 1 year old Murphy. Crazy to say that. I almost said 1 month because it feels like it's been just a month at times. But he's turning 1 and born and raised here, lived here pretty much my entire life. Out of college, I got into medical device sales kind of on accident and knew I kind of always wanted to at least try that out, but got very fortunate with an opportunity here in St. Louis. Then got on with a much larger company out in San Diego, managing a territory here and in the state of Missouri for a company called ResMed. So if anybody's familiar with CPAP equipment, the masks, the devices, all that stuff, I sold that for 3 years, grew a pretty significant territory here in the state of Missouri from about 15 million to 25 million in about 3 years. So my background is in sales. In 2018, sitting in a hotel room, traveling a bunch as I always usually did for 5 years. And I said, hey, the money is good here. I made $200,000 my first full year at ResMed in the role that I ended up getting promoted into. And I said, this money is good, but it's not what I thought it was going to be. So I was sitting in a hotel room trying to find ways to make money online. And I was also looking at getting into physical real estate, investing in wholesaling and things like that. I ended up not doing that. But by all my searches and things like that and what I was looking at, I ended up getting targeted by an ad on Facebook that had this massively shiny apartment complex. And it was basically like, hey, wouldn't you like to own this complex without having to physically buy that real estate and worry about the tenants and the repairs and all that stuff? And I was like, yeah, man. And so what that course ended up teaching me, and I paid $7,000 for it. So that was kind of my first investment into myself, was digital marketing. So how to build websites, how to rank websites, and how to rank Google business profiles. But it was from the mindset of being a digital landlord. So I used to just build websites. I built 200 from 2018 to 2020. I built them. And then I would rank them to the first page of Google and basically sell every single lead or rent out the website on a monthly basis or do commission deals. Like, I was very creative and did that. So I didn't get any upfront money. I put all my money up front and built out those websites, basically built myself a 200 website portfolio with SEO and Google business profile stuff. And then I added in paid ads. And the pandemic came and it allowed me to stay home and invest more into my business. And so I went basically from side hustle in 2020 to full-time in the middle of 2020 in July. So I left everything. We bought our forever dream home. I went all in on this vision, and it was scary, but at the end of the day, I'm forever grateful that I did that. And so I went and I kind of switched my model a little bit. So I started going after like actual companies and brands, right? Mostly in the home service and contracting space. And so people would be like, hey, Adam, I love that you know SEO, but like, I don't want to rent this. I want to basically own it. I want you to redesign my website. I want you to do my SEO. So we transitioned our model we went from 0 to 7 figures in 15 months, ended up getting to 200K a month in December of 2022, was a franchisee of a digital marketing agency for a little bit, and then a partner of that agency for about a year. And so I've been through the whole gamut of running a digital marketing agency as well as owning other businesses. So of those initial 200 websites that we launched, one was an auto glass company, one was a landscape design company, and one was a Christmas light company here in St. Louis that we've all actually started those businesses through digital marketing. So a lot of people would sign up with me because they saw that, hey, Adam literally can create businesses out of doing what he's selling us. Not many marketers can do that, which then kind of transitioned a little bit into what I'm doing with Builders of Authority, which is basically a digital marketing and personal branding, organic social media training company, because that's how I got all of my clients. And there's free and easy ways in order to be able to do that. So we do one-to-one coaching, we do group coaching, and then some done for you stuff as well.
Oh, it's awesome. I've been watching you from afar, and I see your stuff. I'm like, okay, he's got it figured out. He's, you're on YouTube. You got closing in on 600 subscribers, I think, on there for your page, and you're doing things and putting out video and doing the work. And let's talk about that for a minute, because it's not easy, dude. Like I'm doing it's just me, right? Got a podcast, shoot stuff for the building company, shoot stuff for the coaching company, and run this, run that, start the groups. How do you do it all? And do you have a team?
Yeah. So right now I have 3 team members. So I have my executive assistant, a client experience manager, and then we have a full-time video editor as well, which has been massively helpful because you see all the content that we do. And so it definitely stacks up. But in all the other companies that I have, equity in, or I've started myself, it is all about finding those right players. Cause like 3.5 years in on the auto glass side, I still don't know how to even repair, much less replace auto glass, which that was a huge learning curve in 2021 when we started that company. So a lot of those companies, once I stepped out of them and let the team shine, they actually flourished. So we've had bottlenecks in the marketing agency and in Builders of Authority where I tend to, not always want to delegate, and I want to have control, and I want to do those different things. But as we've continued to grow, right, I've been forced, ultimately to do that. So that way I didn't make a lot of the same mistakes I did in growing our marketing agency the first time, because that was one of our biggest struggles. Is we got to 200K a month, right? Which at the time it's working with about 125 businesses, which most marketing agencies never get anywhere close to. But because of my personal brand and my organic social media and the partnerships I created and me going and speaking at contractor events, a lot of people signed up with our company because of me. And so like, that's a really, really amazing thing, but it can also be a deterrent, right? When people are like, well, I signed up with Adam. I want to know if Adam knows what's going on, in my account. I want to call him with questions. I want to call him, even though we had an amazing team. And also, to my credit, is I do really know website design and SEO more than most people that are CEOs of marketing agencies. So when that happens, right, no different than you and your coaching business and other businesses you've ran, is like, when you know how to fix the problem, sometimes we go and fix the problem just because we want to take care of the client, right? And we know how to do it, but that doesn't always scale, and it's not always the best way to teach our team. So I've had to learn a lot about that, over the past couple of years as well.
Yeah, it's hard to let go. I'm doing that with my girlfriend Wendy is helping me with the admin side and on the contractor stuff. But also, yesterday I was like, okay, here's how you do Zoom. Here's how you do Riverside. Here's how you do StreamYard. Here, and there, I can see her eyes just going. And I realized, like, I've learned a lot of stuff about how to do all this, but never been able to communicate to someone else. Like, I got to unload some of this stuff because I'm just gonna blow up. And so I feel your pain, and you're not going anywhere until you say, it's that who, not how thing, right? Who can I get to do this? Not how can I get it done? So it sounds like you're doing a great job for that. And it sounds like I need another team member. But I was looking at some of your stuff. It might've been your story today. And you made a comment about talking about how to be a good customer and how to be a good digital. I can't remember the context, but I see a lot of guys, particularly in the contractor space, just throw money at, I'm talking like in the $3,500 a month range. Throw money and be told, hey, hang in there, bucko, it's gonna get better. You got to give it 6 months. And they're
Yeah.
like, the leads come, and it's like some clown from Idaho that wants a roof or whatever. And so, like, what do you say to somebody when they start out and they really start, they're making a sizable investment in whatever, the digital marketing, the SEO, the website, all the stuff. And I'm all about throwing money at something that, hey, if I can invest $10,000 or $20,000 in a website, and I can see on paper that it's brought me 100 or 200, or I can really point to that, that means something. But
Yeah.
but just putting the money in front of the vacuum and have it go shoo, gone, and there be really no accountability sometimes on the part of the digital marketer. What do you have for comments around that? And I guess I would ask you, how do you handle that on your side of it?
So that's a great question. And it's one of the biggest issues in the marketing agency and small business space, especially in contractors and home service businesses. So one of the main reasons why I went all in with Builders of Authority. So it started out with a side hustle, and then it kind of became my full-time thing. And on March 1st of this year is I wanted to get out of the traditional marketing agency space, where in order for agencies to be successful and make the money that they want, they have to have hundreds and hundreds of clients. That's in reality, because everything is priced wrong for the most part. And so that causes a little bit of an issue. The best times where I've seen businesses get the best return on investments is when they're working with a really, really good digital marketer or marketing agency. And they're at that hey, we're not a startup anymore, but we're not super massive. The problem is it gets to the marketing agency, the owner or the company, and they start to grow or charge more. So there becomes this little balance where even though the results might be there, the return on investment's not there, or they have to take on more clients, which then sacrifices the work. And so the other problem is on the side of the business owner and the contractor, right? So if you look at it right now, I'm consulting a lot of people and I'm walking them through hey, here's how I built a Christmas light website and got it to the first page of Google in 5 months. I built a $20,000, what would be the average cost website, and I put all the SEO in up front, and then we've sprinted for 6 months on SEO. Now, in reality, right, a marketing agency could do that, but it's not always profitable for them to do that.
Right.
But the downfall is if I, as the marketing agency, get you those results, Bob, in 3 to 6 months, and you're like, wow, this is incredible. You're like, this is working, and maybe I could stop paying the marketing agency and continue to get those results. So it's almost like there needs to be, and this is really what I want to educate on moving forward, is there needs to be a equilibrium point for both sides. Marketing agencies need to do more, and business owners need to be willing for the right agency to commit to a longer period. But we know that people are jumping from agency to agency to agency, largely due in part to them not getting results and they're working with the wrong marketing agency. So the due diligence aspect of that comes into play. But before all of that, which is really what I preach consistently, is before you invest a bunch of money in search engine optimization, paid ads, all of that stuff, which is super impactful, you need to take care of your organic social media from your business pages, as well as your Adam and Bob page, right? And your Google business profile. Most people don't go there. They want to go spend money before they take care of their foundation and what's in their backyard, the low hanging fruit. So for our auto glass company, we post Monday through Friday on our Google business profile every single day. And we've been doing that now for 6 months. And it went from 800 calls a month, which was still really good because we're on the first page of Google for everything. Now we're averaging about 12 to 1300 calls a month, which that increment, right? We're now just a little bit of everywhere because our Google business profiles are having us go in all these different directions. There's those postings. The other aspect is posting from your personal Adam and Bob page every single day, right? And being active in local community Facebook groups. That's where so much business is literally just sitting there from people that are in your neighborhoods that likely are looking for somebody that they can know, like, and trust. And then doing the same type of posting Monday through Friday on your social media, your Facebook pages, right? So I tell contractors all the time, On Monday, do a maintenance Monday. So a preventative maintenance tip about your product or service. Tuesday is testimonial Tuesday. Highlight a 5-star review. Wednesday is Why Us Wednesday. Why are people going with you? What are your customers telling you about why they're choosing you over the competition? Thursday is Throwback Thursday, or basically taking a look at a before and after, Transformation Thursday, before and after of a project. And then Friday, FAQ Friday. What are the frequently asked questions you and your team are getting in the process? Go leverage ChatGPT. Go leverage all of the stuff that's out there to create a content calendar around all that. It costs you absolutely $0. Then you can be in a position to go invest money into all of those other things when it makes sense.
Love it. That's great insight and great advice. And it really took care of one of my other questions, which was, hey, what do you say to a new guy? And it's like, hey, I got this, and I've got my tools, and I'm working during the day, but I'll expand on that a little bit. If a guy is guy or girl just getting started, and I don't care if it's selling baskets or whether it's you're a contractor, whatever. If you're starting a business and it's just you and you've got just this right now, in your opinion, where's the best place to spend my time? Is it YouTube Shorts? Is it LinkedIn? Is it Facebook Live? Is it, and you may not know the answer to that, but I bet you know more than I do about it.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously it's going to depend upon your industry, right? So like LinkedIn and YouTube is really only going to be good if you're offering more of like a nationwide service, right? Where you can do business pretty much everywhere. LinkedIn is going to be better if you're doing like B2B or commercial or working with property managers. But I really do believe that Facebook, like pound for pound, dollar for dollar from an organic and a paid standpoint, is still the best platform to be on for most local service-based businesses, because one, you have your personal page and your business page. You also have those Facebook groups and those communities where people are asking, hey, who do you know that does X, Y, and Z all of the time? And then I do think organically taking care of the Google business profile. But one thing that is usually untapped is documenting the whole journey, right? So documenting, like if you're on your own, get a little tripod, you have your phone literally, and you can do time-lapse videos. Then you can upload those to Reels on Facebook and Instagram, which is going to be a little bit more localized. But when you're going to get Google reviews, right, like that's one of the biggest low-hanging fruit aspects. Is not only is that going to help like social proof your company, but it's also going to have you rank better than anything else that's out there. So like, yes, you can have the most incredible SEO. That's great. You can have somebody work on your Google business profile from an SEO's perspective. That's awesome. But pound for pound, those Google reviews will help you rise to the top. And we've seen that with our auto glass company. Like we are the #1 rated auto glass company locally in St. Louis with 417 reviews. We've been in business for 3.5 years, but we educate our team now, which if it's just you as the business owner, to educate our customers on how to leave a quality review. And so many times people are just like, hey, can I get a review? But they don't make it easy to give them to get a review for them. So like in our auto glass company, we have an air freshener because we know that they're in their car. And so that air freshener has our logo and it has a QR code that takes them right to the review. Super simple and easy. And then we have another flyer that says, hey, if you refer anybody to us, we'll give them 10% off. And then we'll also send you a gift card too. And so, but on that flyer, it says, hey, please list out these points. And so those points are, hey, what service did we provide? So if I write a Google review that just says 5 stars and Adam or Bob was great, that's completely different and worth a lot different if I write a review that has a, hey, Adam came out to my house and did mobile service on my X, Y, and Z car, and he replaced my windshield, and I'm located in Oakville, Missouri, which is a suburb of St. Louis. He was on time, friendly, and the price was affordable. And then you also put up a picture of that. Google is going to be able to basically depict that data of where it was. So when people are typing in near me, etc., that review is going to populate as well as your Google business profile. So those are free things outside of getting something to hand somebody, right? But it's totally worth it.
That's great stuff. You keep stealing my questions. You keep answering my questions. Cut the shit.
Sorry.
What do you do when you get a bad review? Maybe you haven't had any, but I'm sure over the course of the years, you might get somebody that you just dropped the ball with. So what are you doing to get a bad one? I've heard bury it with good ones, but other than that. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, right? Like our auto glass company, I think we've gotten non 5-star reviews. Those 417, I think we've gotten like eight or nine or so. So at scale, it really surprisingly hasn't happened. But I think addressing it in head on, right? So like whether it's a good review or a bad review, you need to respond within 24 hours.
Right.
And Google's looking for all those things. But the thing about a bad review is you need to meet the person where they're at. So even if they're incredibly wrong, from a standpoint of social proof, is you need to meet that person where they're at. So if they're blowing up or they're going off, or maybe it's, a past employee, which we've had happen as well, right? Or somebody that said, hey, they're too expensive. I called around and everybody else was offering whatever. Great. Yeah. Like meet them where they're at, because that does, one, is it validates them to not go and do anything else that's crazy for the most part. But two, when people are going there, they're going to say, oh, wow, Bob and Adam in their team or whatever, like they responded very professionally. And like no company, like if you have 400 5-star reviews and no bad reviews, that's almost more of a red flag than having 8 or 9, 1 to 2 to 3-star reviews at 417, right? So like there is a whole component of doing that. Now we have seen it where we have addressed the situation. I'm not even involved in the auto glass company in the day-to-day. I have our team that's obviously running it. My uncle's now partnered in the company, and my uncle and I have both called people and just said, hey, like we would love to understand why. And they've then flipped those things into 5-star reviews, because most of the time when it's a legit negative review, there's opportunity to improve. Now, whether or not they go back and actually move that from a 1 to a 5-star, that's not the point of it, but your team can improve as you get that information back on what really happened, at least from their point of view. Again, it may not be right, it may be wrong, but listening to the customer in that particular instance is the best thing you can do.
Yeah, you're going to run into a few bad eggs here and there, and you're going to screw up, right? And you fall on the sword and say, hey, we missed it. Instead, to your point, if somebody says, hey, they were too expensive, maybe you respond and say, hey, we're terribly sorry we weren't able to connect with you on this one. Keep us in mind for the future. Boom, diffuse, whatever. What are they going to do? You kind of, like you said, validated them, met them where they're at, and you move on. At least you responded to it. So So one of my questions I wrote down here when I'm thinking about chatting with you was like, this guy's got a bunch of stuff going on. You got a bunch of different businesses. You're a hard driver. I see what you're doing out there. Do you ever have times when you're like, hey, either nobody's watching my shit, or like, I don't know why I keep doing this? Do you ever feel like just blowing it all up? And what do you do when you get off track, given the amount of things you have going on?
Yeah, I mean, all the time, honestly, right? Like I would be lying if I said I didn't look at the numbers. I didn't look at growth. I didn't look at certain things, right? Because like that's also what I teach people, but it's also where I grow my business as well. And so I get self-validation from that. And I think anybody that tells you otherwise is just lying, right? Like, oh, I don't look at that. No, you have to if you want to get better, right? And so like I can be very tough on myself. And when I get off track, I think it's usually getting back down to the basics. So like, there are times where I will go down rabbit holes. Like I'm going down a rabbit hole right now with a new brand and a new channel on YouTube to just segment my target audience with stuff. And at the end of the day, like as you go down those rabbit holes and you try to figure out what trends are going and things like that, when I take a step back and like take off the crazy, social media goggles, if you will, and just say, hey, like what do I need to share? Like, what does my ideal client need to hear? And when I get back down to that and stop watching what other people are doing, usually that's when I have another trajectory of some really, really good content with what I'm actually looking for. But it's so quick and easy to get inundated with what everybody else is doing with the trends and all these different platforms and things like that. But I think just staying true to like myself and the mission, which for me is to impact as many people as I possibly can as far as my purpose goes, whether it's in their business or in their personal lives. So I'll get more messages of people saying, hey, Adam, you've helped motivate me, maybe start a business or do something different or get healthier or just like share my story on social media. And for me, that's even more validating than seeing somebody like get massive immediate results with digital marketing, because the impact is usually much bigger when somebody's personal life is affected in a great way by the content that I'm sharing.
That's cool. Got any haters?
Oh, yeah, I do. Yeah, I
Good. That
do.
means you're doing well, right?
I know.
Love a good hater, you
Well,
know?
well, I think like I've made some pivots and some transitions. Like I left the agency that I was previously at this year, and so like I did it for a lot of the reasons I shared, and other reasons why I won't share. Right, but like
Right.
for me, right, like that upset business partners, people like people that thought like I could just go do whatever they wanted me to do, right?
Right.
And that's just not, where I was at or what I was wanting to do. I like finally, and I made a post today about Ben Newman and the shirt that I was wearing is like the standard, right? I leveled up my standards this year, which for the first time ever, I saw more hate. I always had haters, but like more haters come into the fold, more people talk about me specifically, but it's really is that I'm exposing in certain degrees what is wrong with the digital marketing space,
Yeah.
both from the agency side as well as where business owners need to level up too. And I felt scared to do that for a while because I'm like, okay, am I exposing my own business? Am I exposing myself? And then I just realized is like, I have a duty to go live in my purpose and to go share this content. And I may be right in some instances and wrong or skewed in other places, but at the end of the day, like I am one of the very few people that have experience either running other companies that we would technically service on the marketing agency side or being invested in those companies. So that's why I take it so seriously, because I hate seeing people screwed over. And
Yeah.
I also hate to see really, really good marketing agencies getting taken advantage of by business owners that are saying, hey, marketing agencies suck.
Yeah.
And so that's where I've really just kind of had to like get straight and narrow and be like, hey, like I'm going to go this direction and it's going to piss more people off than it ever has before. But like they're just upset for reasons that have really nothing to do with me other than the fact that they may be taking offense to me exposing the industry as a whole, not any individual one person or company.
Yeah. You've heard the expression, what other people think of you is none of your business, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
whatever, you keep going. And so, yeah. And what I see is you honoring the game being entrepreneurship, business. So it's cool. So, hey, if they want to hate on you for that, so be it. One thing
Yeah.
you mentioned is something that we all talk. I don't know if I can point in the right direction here, but is the standard. Okay.
Yep.
You and I are both, we run with Ben Newman a lot. And you mentioned the standard. And I see that in other things that you're doing. You're posting some stuff of videos of you at the gym. Talk to me about your own personal standard and how that flows into business.
Yeah, so I think like a lot of it is basically just the evolution that I had, right? So like I was in corporate America working crazy, crazy hours. I was a college athlete, but basically from the time I graduated up until I became an entrepreneur, like I spent no time on fitness or my health or anything like that.
Yeah.
I was drinking way too much. I was playing like my activity was like Sunday beer league softball and some recreational soccer. And that was about it. So
Yeah.
like back in 2020, I started to get invested in other masterminds and I hired my first business coach in 2021 and things started to really kind of take off. I did 75 hard that year and then I started consuming more of the right content, which that kind of just flooded through all areas of my life, right? So for me, it was my personal life, my business life, my faith, and my family, right? So all these areas started to evolutionize in a different way because I wasn't consuming all of the crap that I had been for the previous decade, at this point now. And so I think just raising my personal standard has weeded more people out over the last 4 years now. And I took offense to a lot of that originally early on because I was posting more on social media. I was talking about fitness. I was talking about these things that the people that had been around me for so long were like, where did this come from? And so eventually those people started to get weeded out or they weed themselves out as well. But I think it really is just like, we all know we have a standard and at different times in our life, the standard that we previously had been, we need to get rid of that. Right. And we need to be where we're at right now and think about where we're going in the future.
No, that's cool. And it all, I talk a lot with my clients that if you're not right on the physical side or the mental side, there's no way you're going to be right on the business side. Okay. And the
Exactly.
same is true in reverse. If things are frigged up business wise, the first thing that goes out the window is what? Your workout.
Yep.
See, like, I don't have time to go to the gym today. I'm not taking care of myself. I'm going to go to the drive-through. I'm going to get whatever. I'm just doing this, and we'll just deal with stress stuff today. So good
Yeah.
for you for making that a part of what's going on. And I'm working hard at that myself, coming from a long way back. So it's hard when you have that high standard and you either struggle with business or struggle physically to really almost practice what we preach, right? And it's standard over feelings, and you are what you surround yourself with, and you're the average of the five people, all this stuff, right?
Yep.
But you got to walk the walk, and it's nice to see you doing that. What's next for you? Where are you headed with this thing?
Yeah, so still trying to figure out, life, I think, as we all are, going from running an agency for really 6 years and kind of stepping back. So we're at about 6 months of doing Builders of Authority full time. We'll have some exciting announcements that I can't really dive into right now, just because we've still been in the process of exiting the previous agency as far as myself goes. But we have some exciting stuff coming down the pipeline. Again, my whole aspect of Builders of Authority is really like helping people build authority at whatever step in the journey that they're at. So whether you can only, invest in nothing, right? Like if you can only do free and easy stuff, if you need group coaching, if you need one-to-one, or if you need done for you stuff, we don't want to service everybody, but we want to have like our free group, which we have on Facebook. We want to have some free courses and just things that basically build our ascension ladder. No different than a lot of the people that we've talked about with Ben. I mean, Ben has so many different things he has going on, free stuff, paid, like, and all the way up there. We want to build that ascension ladder. But do it in a way that is disrupting the industry as a whole, whether it's marketing agencies or marketing for contractors and home service business owners. So some exciting stuff to come here over probably the next couple of weeks. But yeah, that's kind of what we have coming down the pipeline.
Love it. I hinted at this question for you before we started. You've seen the edge stuff from me, and then I worked with Ben through some of that, and he kind of inspired that. And he said, you help people find their edge. You take them to the edge. You go to the edge. And so the edge for me is like, how do you show up differently? What do you do when the chips are down, when the shit hits the proverbial fan, so to speak? So I don't ever let anybody get off my podcast without asking them, what's your edge?
Yeah. So it's actually funny. So I was in Ben's Coach to Coaches program earlier this year, and I had Ben on my podcast here in St. Louis back in February. And so I had this, what I thought was my burn, but it was also when it was kind of going through, the transition of leaving the marketing agency and kind of my identity and ego that came specifically with that. And so I evolutionalized what that actually meant for me at different stages of my life. So my edge is betting on myself.
Sure.
So I've been at times where I've gotten into business or partnered with other people, or I've, gone in a certain direction because I thought that I needed other people in order to live the life that I wanted. I thought I needed to rely on other people. I thought I needed to be partnered with other people or pay other people, or I thought I needed X number of clients or X number of revenue. And at the end of the day, I realized when I've been at my best, when I've operated in all areas of my life the way in which I want to have that standard, set the example and be the standard, is when I've bet on myself. Times where I failed, times where it's like back is against the wall, all those different things. It's when I've allowed other people's influence and allowed other people to not have me bet on myself.
And that hits home. I not a week goes by in this household where Wendy doesn't say to me, Bob, you don't need anyone to do what you're doing. You're good at it. Just go do more of you and keep being you and keep doing your thing. And so she's going to watch this and give me a hard time. She's going to say, see, I told you. Check that Adam guy out. So that's awesome. Cool. Betting on yourself. You don't need nothing from nobody, brother. It's great to have leverage, right? It's great to have those, what's the word I'm looking for? Not affiliations, but on Survivor, what do they call that? Alliances, sorry.
Yep.
People you can go to, people you could call and say, hey, would you come on my podcast? Thank you.
Yep.
People you can say, hey, I see you're a few laps ahead of me. How are you handling this? And never have I ever seen an area, an industry, whatever, for lack of a better word, better than the personal development / coaching, business improvement space where people are willing to help each other.
Yeah.
Right? Like you and I, we cross over here and there. Like I've got Tom Reber on my podcast. I got a couple of contractors. I go, what? Everybody's just going, dude, how can I help?
Yeah.
How can
Pretty
I
awesome.
help? So I thank you for that. Thank you for having that mentality. As we wrap up here, one more question. I didn't warn you about this one. I ask everyone, and it's really more. And you might take this from the digital media side, social media side, whatever it is. Is what do you want people to know? Like, you run into a lot of people. What do you always say? Man, I wish everybody knew this.
Wow, that's a tough question. I definitely wasn't prepared for that one, but I'll take it and I'll run with
Did that
it. I
intentionally.
think, yeah, no, I think like what I want people to know is that like at the end of the day, your personal brand and the authority that you're building in your current business, it's translatable to anything else you do in the future. And so I'm a perfect example of that. I was all in on the marketing agency stuff. If you would have told me this time last year, Adam, hey, you're not going to be running a marketing agency anymore, I would have told you that you were absolutely crazy,
Right.
because things change. But when I ended up doing Builders of Authority and I launched that and went full time with it, completely different space, group coaching, one-to-one with some done for you stuff. That company grew so quickly because of the authority that I had previously built doing something else.
Right.
But people had already known, like, and trusted me. So it allowed me to have that ascension where so many people are like, I want to hide behind my business branding. I don't want people to know that I'm doing X, Y, and Z. Well, that's great if that's going to be your forever thing, but we always don't know if it is going to be the forever thing. So building a personal brand and building authority is transferable and relatable to anything that you do, because at the end of the day, people are people. And once they know, like, and trust you, they're going to support you every step of the way, regardless of if you continue doing what you're doing right now or do something different.
Love it. Love it. Dude, this has been fun. I appreciate having you on. It's been a blast. I was looking forward to it. My daughter is kind of in your space. She's doing more on the social media side. It's getting her clients, starting her own. I've kind of stoked that entrepreneurial fire in her, and
Love
she's
it.
off and running. She's out in Dallas.
That's
So
awesome.
I'm going to say, hey, make sure you listen to this. So good stuff. I appreciate you. You and I are going to meet again. We'll see each other at another event, I'm sure. I appreciate you
Absolutely.
taking the time. We'll put all your contact info on the show notes, as they say, so people can get a
Awesome.
hold of you. Guys, he's Adam McChesney, Builders of Authority. He's on Instagram. He's on Facebook. Not hard to find because he's built his own personal brand. So, guys, this has been the Summit Podcast. I appreciate you listening, checking it out. Adam, thank you very much for coming. I appreciate you, buddy.
Thank you.
All right, take care.